Dear colleagues, I'm really honored to have the opportunity to be among you again, this time having the responsibility to present Serbia's country report regarding Serbian perspective of the child protection systems. A very difficult, multi-layered subject that cannot be easily done and approached. But first of all, I would just shortly like to say some sort of introductory notes. I would like to start to point out the significance of this subject that Republic of Serbia at the population census, which was conducted 3 years ago now, has slightly less than 6.5 million inhabitants, but, which is very important from today's subject, the share of children in total population is just 17.4%. The most share belongs to the people over 60 years of age, which is almost 30%. Then we may conclude that Serbia is a very old country, unfortunately, in terms of the average age of the Serbian citizen or inhabitant. That's the reason why we must work even more, even harder to enable better protection, more comprehensive protection of our children. After this, just to point out to the normative and framework and guiding principles, of course, Constitution of the Republic of Serbia, Family Act, Social Welfare Act, then Act on Financial Assistance for Families with Children, and of course I gave here guiding principles. I would not mention them all. We are all familiar with those principles: the best interest of the child, prohibition of the discrimination. We have two separate legal acts on prohibition of discrimination, the right of the child to express views, respect for the integrity, dignity of the child, providing service in the least restrictive environment, timely and comprehensive protection, accessibility and individualization of social protection. These are the great guiding principles, but often it's not easy to apply them in practice because some services, some institutions are under great pressure, there are lack of personnel, lack of, unfortunately, very often material resources. So I really want to give the credit to all those people, especially from centers for social work. I would come to that later. Centers for social works are really pillars of the child protection systems. For me, even before the courts of law, because courts are doing things often in clear-cut regime, but those really sophisticated approach, responsibility, heterogeneous activities, all that's responsibility of the centers for social work. Basically, if we want to look upon the structure of the child protection system in Serbia, there are three main parts, pillars, dimensions, whatever: family law protection measures from Family Act, which they can be preventive and corrective measures regarding parental responsibility, social welfare services from the Act on Social Welfare Act, assessment and planning services, day services in the community, support services for independent living, counseling and therapy services, and services of accommodations. That's the basic division, the basic classifications. Of course, there are a lot of more to talk or to tell about these welfare services, and material support for children and their families. Just a short reminder about maintenance of child protection system in Serbia. Type of services, assessment and planning are responsibility of central and provincial government. Day services in the community are responsibility of local self-governments. Supported housing to adolescents. Supported housing belongs to the group of measures to support children from independent living, actually. And they are also under the responsibility of local self-governments, except when we talk about the child, responsibility of the central government. Counseling and therapeutic services and child accommodation services, also responsibility of local authorities and central authorities. And it is a rule that those authority, those government who has the responsibility for those measures should finance them as well. But there is a problem in many local self-governments simply do not have the funds to finance it. So there are many use of dedicated transfers when central government transfer their funds to the local self-government, so that the day services might be unable. And for example, the most widespread day service is personal assistant, and it is present in 55% of local self-governments, which is not much, but still it is very important. And personal assistant helps the child with disability. This is the service that is available to child with disability. Help them to realize their right, his right to education, to help them with their school obligation or preschool obligations. So it's very important day service that should be enabled in local communities by local self-governments. I was talking something about that, as you all can see. We may go to the next slide. Defining child at risk and child without parental care. This is some general formulations, some general phrases. Child at risk is the child firstly without parental care or at least risk of losing it. There are many cases. There is I would not say them all, but you can find it in the paper within this monograph. Of course, on the first place, considering children at risk is children without parental care, who has no living parents, whose parents are unknown, whose parents are fully deprived of parental responsibility or active legal capacity, and so on. Then child with disabilities. Child with disabilities is really one of the most vulnerable categories of child, and definitely one of the most vulnerable categories of person within the system of social welfare. They receiving together with their families increased material support and financial assistance, but they have at their disposal some of the social welfare services, such as already mentioned personal assistant, home assistant, daycare. But there is a problem when it comes to the accommodation services. As we all know, the family-like accommodations as a form of alternative care. They should be family-like arrangement, and it's never good when there is no other choice but to send the children to residential care, to residential institutions, to residential accommodations. And one of the biggest problem of the Serbian situation is the trend to have a large number of children without disabilities in residential institutions. Actually, from all the children with disabilities that are placed in residential institutions, over 60% are the children with disabilities, over 60%. That's really a dominant part, dominant share, and at least in my opinion, this is the biggest problem, next to the problem that children under the age of 3 should not be placed in residential institutions, but the system is trying, the system wants to do their best, but sometimes it's simply too hard, and that's something that need to be changed, especially regarding children with disabilities. This is, for example, a personal assistant is something which is really excellent service, excellent practice, which should be nurtured. Then again, residential institutions and such a great share of children with, inside them is something that we need to fix, need to change, need to improve. But I don't know if this would be possible in decent time. That is something that also I was speaking about children with disabilities. Then they could be included in occasional foster care or respite accommodations. They're all forms. Occasional foster care and respite accommodations are here to actually enable to support a family, to support parents, to give them free space so they can regain their strength and keep on fighting to bring up their children, which is for sure extremely hard in these situations. Necessary intervention, protective measures taken by competent authorities for a child at risk to protect his right to life, survival and development. We also have especially urgent measures in cases of family violence, children living on the streets, in street situation, where where there is a need to act immediately within 24 hours. And urgent foster care is one of those measures that is covered with especially urgent measures. Guardianship of those under child protections, Guardianship Authority Center for Social Work is really a main pillar with main roles, with numerous public powers, and I do not have time to enumerate them all, but we all know that this is highly important. Aftercare, I would not, unfortunately, have the time to say it all. Aftercare belong to the measures of support children for independent living, mostly adolescents, but unfortunately they're very rare in practice, especially supported housing, very rare in practice. Then I go to the end because the time is almost gone. I would say that the most significant problems, I would say that Serbia fights, that Serbia wants to improve the situation, which is very difficult, especially with the burden that Center for Social Work has, but the most significant problems are three of them: insufficient and uneven distribution of most day services in the community, the placement of children under the age of 3 in residential care, and as I've already mentioned, vast majority of children in residential care are children with disabilities. This is the biggest problem because it may lead to various forms of discrimination. Thank you very much for your attention.